The Athletic reports that UFC 251 generated 1.3 million pay-per-view buys, the most buys since 2018's Khabib vs Conor McGregor, breaking into the top 5 UFC pay-per-view buys of all time, and proving that Masvidal is now a needle mover for the UFC. Jorge Masvidal is already back in training. After the controversial decision for the co-main event on Saturday, Ben Askren critiques the 10-9 scoring system and suggests a change in the way fights are being scored. Here's what he said.
10-9 must is a very flawed way to judge a fight. It's really simple. I said this many times. If you watch it without 10-9 must, you would say Max Holloway won that fight. I think that's how you would have said that. But he obviously did not, okay? Full fight, you watch the full fight, which is how it's scored in one championship, and I think the most superior way to score a fight. If you watch the whole fight, you think, oh, I think Max Holloway won the fight, but he didn't, right? Okay, so if you look at all the metrics and everything, 1 and 2 are relatively clear for Holloway, 4 and 5 are relatively clear for Volkanovski. Okay, so then it comes down to, and really those rounds were very close. One, I think was it one that Max had knocked out at the end of that won it for him, and he had knocked out 2 that won it for him also. But 3 was like, as for me, as close as it gets. I mean, I think I said like I have no idea who won that round or something like that. And then again, when I scored the fight, I said, well, I have a 3-2 Holloway, but I'm really not all that convinced on that one because it was so close. So. Yeah, the 10-9 must system, guys, it's completely and utterly flawed. So for you guys, yeah, the real argument is who won round 3, Tim. I appreciate you saying that because that's very clear what it comes down to. Volkanovski won 4 and 5, Holloway won 1 and 2. Who won round 3? Well, it's super close. Round 1 was not 10-8. That's absurd. That is just totally absurd. But if we do a full fight scoring system, at the end of the fight, we can say, I think this dude won, and then it's much, much easier. Yeah, that's all it is. It wasn't the judge's fault. I would have been miserable to judge that fight. Round 3 was as close as it got. Guys, we do not need a 10-9 must. We need a full fight scoring system.
I just landed in Vegas for another quarantine and was told some guys in the media are receiving threats for saying my fight was not a robbery. This is not okay. I appreciate everyone who wants to ride for me, but that ain't it. Life isn't fair. It's even more unfair for many other people in the world today than it will ever be for me. People are unemployed right now with no end in sight, and it's not their fault. Listen, it is what it is. Nothing changed for me as a fighter. We proved our point. I still have my 5 belts at home. I'm 28. I'm healthy. The blessed era continues. So bless yourself. Because both of these guys were offered title fights. You're gonna take both of the guys that were offered title fights and make them fight each other? That's dumb.
Why?
Gilbert Burns fights for the belt next. He had the title fight. You're telling me because he got COVID that all of a sudden he loses his spot in line?
You're telling me that because of a pandemic, Leon Edwards loses his spot on the line?
Bro.
Don't forget, my friend, Leon was supposed to fight Tyron Woodley first.
Yeah.
He got screwed.
Yeah. And if Leon Edwards would have fought Tyron Woodley and looked as good as Gilbert Burns did, I'd have no problem with it.
So why does he get screwed?
Gilbert Burns got the fight. Gilbert Burns got the fight. And it's been a while since Leon fought. Leon should fight somebody else. I think Leon should fight Jorge Masvidal. I think that's a big fight. Usman versus Burns, Masvidal versus Leon Edwards, put an end to the whole 2-piece in the biscuit thing while you get the title fights, the title still moving. And then Leon Edwards, if he wins, puts himself right back in a title fight.
No, totally wrong.
That's exactly what works.
First of all, the disrespect that Mr. Leon Edwards has had to endure over the past year is disgusting. It's really disgusting. This guy just because he doesn't, puff his chest out, just because he doesn't have a manager writing his tweets, just because he doesn't go out there and endear himself to all the media, doesn't mean that this guy shouldn't be fighting for a title. Number one, this man has won 8 in a row. 8 in a row. He's won 8 in a row. Yes, 8 in a row, right? He was supposed to fight Tyron Woodley on March 21st. He had that opportunity taken away from him. And by the way, when Masvidal couldn't come to terms with the UFC on July 11th, they went to Edwards first.
Yeah.
He had to turn it down because he didn't have a training situation, and it was on 3 weeks notice. God forbid Leon Edwards wants more than 3 weeks to train for his fight. I mean, title fight. Lord knows if he's ever going to get another chance to fight for the title. I respect the fact that he said, give me a little more time. So what about this? Usman just fought. He wants to spend time with his daughter. He has earned that opportunity, right? It's been a very hectic few months for him. Let him chill out till the end of the year. In the meantime, they're going to go back to Abu Dhabi in September. What's wrong with Burns versus Edwards on one of those cards as a number one contender fight? Burns has won 4 in a row at welterweight, 6 in a row overall. 4 is not equal to 8. You understand what I'm saying? 4 not equal to 8.
Bro,
Why does Gilbert Burns deserve a shot over Leon Edwards? I don't get it.
I just hate when things go down like this. I've watched it 3 times now. My initial, when I was watching it live, I thought Max easily won 1, 2, and 3. 4 he lost, 5 he definitely lost, but he definitely did 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 he had a knockdown. He had a head kick, and then he got a knockdown from the hands. So those are clear. No one can give Volkanovski the first or second round. I thought Max looked phenomenal. Again, a lot of people go, well, can Max change his ways with the leg kicks? That's why he lost the last fight. What's he can do with his wide stance? As you notice, he didn't have such a wide stance. He had a narrower stance. And then the key difference was in the first fight, he didn't respect the leg kicks. He ate the leg kicks, and then he landed more headshots and body shots. But those leg kicks are what changed the game for him, and he ended up losing that first fight. Even though some people still think he won the first fight, I think it was close. It was close. We're not going to get to that right now. What Max did in that first, second, third, fourth, and fifth round with the kicks is his mentality going to that fight was, if you're going to kick, you're going to have repercussions. I'm going to fire back with another kick and prevent you from just firing away on all these kicks. If you're going to kick, you're going to pay a price. Somehow, some way, one way or another, you're not just going to be kicking my legs all night. You're going to know if you're going to kick, there's going to be a repercussion, there's going to be a counter. So he started kicking more as Alexander started kicking more, and it made Alexander hesitant to kick so much, which gave Max the advantage, I think, on the feet. So I thought clearly Max 1 and 2. Now going back and watching that it's all in the third round. In the third round, watching it live, I gave it to Max. Looking at the CompuStrike numbers and other stuff, it seems that there's a slight edge for Alexander. But you can't always go off CompuStrike numbers to give a guy the round. I thought Max did more. I thought he was more active. I thought he landed the harder shot, so I gave Max the third round. In the fourth and fifth, he lost. I guess I'm bummed out because I don't know if the UFC gives Max a rubber match. I don't know if they give him a third fight, even though he lost the first 2. And that's a shame because I do think Max is the better fighter. I do. After watching that, I thought Max was the better fighter. I think that division can't go on until we know that the champion, Volkanovski, is better than Max Holloway. You can't move on. Even though it's the most stacked division by far. It is murder's fucking row, man. That division is so goddamn deep, and there's so many fun matchups for Alexander or Max Holloway. There's so much fun there. I can't mentally move on till they fight a third time. And I thought, even controversially, Max, lost that first fight, lost the second fight. I need a third. You got to give me a third, UFC. I beg you, Dana White. I freaking beg you. Give Max Holloway a third fight. We can't move on, man. You can't say Alexander's the champion after that. I can't move on till I get a third fucking fight. I can't, man. I was so depressed when that went down like that. Depressed.